What's up, guys? It is Jonathan with One Big Impact. So welcome, and I wanted to start by saying thank you to coming to my channel, and we are going to be doing a lot of videos in the near future about strength and strength sports, and whether it's weightlifting or powerlifting or getting stronger. So I just wanted to say thank you for riding on this journey. It's been a long one, and that is currently what I'm doing, is strength sports. And I apologize, my throat is killing me. I'm not sick, but I don't know what it is. Anyway, that's why I'm drinking that tea over and over. So today's video is going to be about how strong can I get naturally, and should I do it naturally? Should I not do it naturally? What should I do to be able to get as strong as humanly possible? Now, a lot of us have noticed that there is quite the influx of interest in powerlifting and strongman and bodybuilding and stuff like that. And because of that, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of expectation, there's a lot of people out there that think that they, just because somebody else does something, then that somebody else can, or they can, if that makes sense. So how strong can you get naturally? Depends on a few things. First of all, genetics. I have seen people at the gym that used to be football players, haven't lifted in 15 years, lay down and do reps with 405 with no problem. I, on the other hand, am not genetically gifted or anything like that. I'm a 308 minus power lifter, so that means I weigh under 308 pounds in competition. Just under it. And I have not officially benched 405 in competition yet. I'm at like 390, but I have benched 4 plates in the gym multiple times recently. And I've been powerlifting for a solid 4 years, I believe. Now, there's a few things that are going to play into factor. I was trying to give you a contrast between like a genetic freak and just a normal person. I started back then. I had been lifting for quite some time, actually. Probably, I don't know, 8 years or something like that. Never was caring about anything form-oriented. Didn't care about like necessarily pushing up the weights. I was kind of just trying to get the burn and stuff like that. So my bench was 275, but it was a touch and go, and it wasn't that great. So that's where I started, and this is where I'm at now. Now, that being said, I would be considered a deadlift specialist, and why I say that is because I say genetics play a huge factor, but the other huge factor is going to be how you're anatomically created. If you are a big bencher, you're not going to have this massive wingspan because I'm not very tall. I have a huge wingspan, and that plays a major positive in my deadlift, a major negative in my bench press. So if you have little T-Rex arms, chances are you're already benching 4 or 5 plates. You're not worried about it, but you can't deadlift 300 or 400 pounds. So that being said, anatomic, like the way you're designed, how long your limb lengths are and everything like that, how long your legs are going to play a huge factor in strength, okay? So how strong can you really get naturally? Now, granted, I started this at 39, 40 years old. I'll have to check. It might have been, I think I was 40 the first competition. So I guess maybe 3 years, almost 4. But I started out significantly later in life. So it matters genetics, how you're designed as far as your leverages, your anatomics, like your limb lengths and everything like that. Look at my dog. Look at him. Just passed out over there on the freaking deadlift platform. As well as your age. Age plays a huge factor. your health, all kinds of things play a huge factor. So, and why I say that is like, meaning if you're 25 and you're in this for 4 years, you could probably get a lot better than me being 40, getting in it for 4 years, if that makes sense. So there are multiple factors that are going to play in this. How strong can I get naturally? How old are you? How genetically strong are you at the beginning? How are your leverages? And how much time are you really willing to put into this? My current numbers are squat 633 in competition, 705, 706 in deadlift in competition, and 390 bench. I'm at like 1703 as a starting point, or as a point right now. Why I'm explaining that is because on the internet, a lot of the times, whether it's like Westside versus the World or 2700, or you're looking at like Dave Hoff, and you're seeing these crazy totals, 21, 25, 27, 3,000 pound totals or whatever. Some of those things are obtainable. I think if people work really hard, you can obtain some really great things. Some of the biggest totals in the world are going to be some of the biggest, largest, strongest people in the world. Meaning, somebody that's totaling 3,000 pounds is not going to be first of all, a natural lifter. They're not going to be a raw lifter. They're not going to be 120 pounds soaking wet. Dave Hoff, I want to say he's in like the 275 class. He's multiply. And on top of that, he's using gear. And there's no hiding it. It's not a big deal. Does he work for it? Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely the best in the game. How strong you can get also depends on how big you are. Now, if you are comparing your DOTS score or your Wilks score or any other scoring that you do, then you can pound for pound figure it out. But if you look at like something like a 1,000 pound deadlift or something, and you go, I'm going to lift 1,000 pounds, and you're at a 90 pound deadlift and you're 4 years into lifting and you're a 107 pound guy, probably never going to happen. And I'm not trying to say that because I want to ruin your dreams or anything like that, but realistically, probably not going to happen. My first competition, I was at 600. Now I'm at 705. And I've done quite a few competitions. It takes understanding of realistic expectations to be able to harness your personal maximum ability for strength. So you got all those factors that I talked about before. You have the genetics, your leverages, you have your weight, your personal starting point, your age, but you also have like to be realistic with your expectations. For me personally, I kind of just try to do a little bit better at each meet. I don't really say, you know what, I'm going to bench 500 at the next meet, or I'm going to bench 750 or anything like that. I have like some small goals in the back of my head of things, but realistically, if you just try to do a little bit better each time, eventually those things are going to stack up. And you might be thinking, well, I'm going to bench, 700 pounds or something like that. And you might, I don't know, like I don't know. But where are you at now? Are you at 200? Are you at 300? What are you at? If you didn't come in the gym raw as a starting point at 400 pounds, you're probably not going to raw bench 700 pounds. You would have had to start pretty damn high because you're only going to get so far during this process. Like you can only stay in strength sports and stuff like that for, some people will say up to 15 years, but I think a good 5 to 8 year stretch is going to be able to pretty much maximize your potential. And then you got some outliers that can go 10, 12 years or whatever. But I think you're going to get most of your gains in that first 5 or 8 years. Now, that being said, understanding that realistic expectations doesn't mean you have to sell yourself short, okay? When I started, I was at a 600-pound deadlift. It wasn't like a record, or it wasn't doing anything. That was actually my own personal thing. I said, I want to do a competition when I know I can do 600 in competition. And that was it. And I did it. And that was not a record. That was not like some great thing for like anybody. I didn't take a record or anything like that. But shortly after that, I think by the second or third meet, every single meet, it's a new deadlift record, a new deadlift record, a new deadlift record, a new deadlift record. And now they're starting to pull American records and American records. And it wasn't because I'm worried about, do I want to pull 1,000 pounds? Who the hell wouldn't? Like, of course I want to pull 1,000-pound deadlift, but realistically, I have to worry about 710 and 715, and I pulled 725 in the gym. Did I do it in a meet? No, not yet. So understanding that, hey, do I think these numbers personally are obtainable for most people? The following numbers. Do I think 315 on a bench, 405 on a squat, and 500 pounds on a deadlift are obtainable for most people? Yes, no matter the size. I've seen small little tiny guys push those weights at meets and everything. I see guys that are probably like 180 pushing 700 pound squats, more than me, and that's impressive. So yes, you have to have realistic expectations, but you're going to have to put in the work. Probably the single most important thing is going to be putting in the work. If you ever want to look at the top level of your age class, your weight, the affiliation, whether it's drug-free or drug-tested or anything like that, whatever those things are, go to openpowerlifting.org and you're going to get a way better idea of who is at the top of your specific category, if that makes sense, and where you want to compete, because that is going to give you the single most positive information. Like the guy that versus me in nationals, his bench is 418, his squat is 760, which is crazy, and then his deadlift's like 639. So I got him beat on the deadlift, he's got me beat on the squat, but then again, there's leverages. Those things are, maybe he trained the squat way more than I did, and I definitely trained the deadlift way more in the beginning. So understand, you can get really, really great without using gear. You can get really, really strong and take records and be national qualified and go to worlds without doing all those other things. You can get so strong that you can be the strongest person in the gym when you go. I know, because it's usually, not always, but usually it's me. And I'm not some special person. I'm not on drugs. I don't take gear or anything. But usually you don't see people squatting over 600, deadlifting over 700, repping out 3 plates. It's just not that common. Stay focused. Work hard. Don't skip weeks, months, or years. Stay strong and keep freaking grinding. Let me know what your best PR is.